when I'm not reminding myself to take my seizure medication before watching my brother play video games. I like to answer questions and comments I get on YouTube, so let's get to it. Yo, everything I know on guitar is because of you. That said, I've decided I'm voting for you in the election. Also, I've been playing for a year and a half now. I feel stuck. Sure, I could work on bar chords. I can work on scales too. My issue is I feel like I'm playing the same chords and using the same keys. What advice do you have for anyone who is stuck and can't seem to get out? Basically, you're asking me how to play in the key of B major. The most underrated key ever. But there's one thing that I started doing this exercise when I was really trying to like play in a bunch of different keys, because I was sick of using capos. I was sick of tuning my guitar down a half step, and it was always for stuff in the key of B, because you know, if you tune your guitar down a half step and play in the key of C, you're playing in the key of B. But like if you look at the chords of B major, it's like, oh my gosh, B major, C sharp minor, D sharp minor, E major. So okay, E major, I can do that. F sharp major. It's nobody knows the chords in the key of B major, but there's this one really easy trick that'll help you understand just where chords sit in different keys. It might actually open up your playing and maybe just lend itself to some new creative ideas. All right. So what we're gonna do is gonna sound like this. Okay, so what we're doing is we're taking, instead of power chords, we're going to take a root note and its third. Its third is always going to be either major or minor, okay? So while that's sinking in, let me just tell you that this video is sponsored by Elixir strings, the finest strings in the land. That's why this Martin D35 sounds so good, because I have the NanoWeb 8020 12s on this. I like the 12s just because I think it's like the best compromise between tone and playability. However, if I am gigging a lot, I'll put 11s on there because they are a little easier on your hands if you're playing bar chords in the key of B major. But we're not going to do this. We're going to pair every root note in this key. You do not have to memorize this, you just have to memorize the spacing, okay? So the spacing, the interval of the notes in the key of B. We just start on a B, which is the second fret on the A string. You may know this, you may not know this, but we just go whole, whole, half, whole, half, whole. It's 2 frets, half is 1 fret. You've probably ever heard that before. But anyways, that's just going to give us our starting point for our root note that we're going to add a third to, okay? So, whole, half, whole, half. All right? So we start on a B, and then now what we're going to do is we're going to identify each one of those spots. 2, 4, 6, 7, 9, 11, 13, 14. We're going to identify each one of those as root notes that we're going to attach a third from, okay? Chords are built with a root note, a third, and a fifth. That's why power chords always sound good, right? So you can play power chords on all these. You can cheat that last one. But that kind of defeats the purpose of really understanding a key and finding things that make it sound cool. Essentially, you're just like shifting power chords back and forth, and I feel like, while that's great for certain genres of music and awesome when you're starting out, it doesn't really have the musical context and the depth that we want to assign to things, right? So a power chord, again, 2 on the A string is B. Its fifth in the major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is right there. And again, you can use that with pretty much any of these 7 notes. The 7th note is diminished. Whatever, we don't have to talk about that right now. We're just exploring the key of B. But instead of adding the 5th to it, I want to add its 3rd. Okay, so the 3rd is always easy to find. On a major chord, you go down a string, back 1 fret. Okay, just like if you're playing a C major chord, you'd start like that. But we're not using the open strings to help us out. In fact, in the key of B, open strings do not sound good at all, right? So what we're doing is we're tightening up this chord voicing. It's not even technically a full B major chord, it's just the root and the third. Okay? There's only 2 types of thirds in this exercise. There's a major third and a minor third. Alright, so when we go to the next chord, we're going to get the C sharp, the 4th fret on the A string, and now we're going to flatten the third. Okay, so now it's a third from the minor scale, from a minor chord, right? So I've got 4A and 2D. So I've got my major little 2-note chord here. Then I've got my minor one, a whole step higher. Then Then I've got another minor one, a whole step higher, a major one, a half step higher, and another major one, a whole step higher than that, okay? So, whole, whole, half, whole. The reason I'm stopping there is because I'm going to switch strings, okay? If we number these off, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we've played 5 notes through this key. All of this is going to be movable. Just for instance, we could play it on F sharp, the 2nd fret, 2, 4, 6, 7, 9. All of these same rules apply in any key. We just have to have a starting point, right? So again, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The first, the fourth, and the fifth are going to be major chords. So they have that major third with them. The second and the third are minor chords, and also the sixth, which we're going to get to in a second. So they have that minor third interval, right? So again, we've got a major, a minor, a minor, a major, and then I think a way to kind of break up this exercise to make it sound less like an exercise is we're going to take this, go straight down a string, and then we end up at the root note again. The 9th fret of the D string is a B again. So this is just an octave higher. We can still move that same shape, a root in its major third, right there, right? Again, this would be part of a bigger chord, which is part of a bigger chord, which I did a video on, just kind of like riffing on the pentatonic stuff I posted a few days ago. So check that out if you haven't seen it already. But yeah, once we get there, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 1 chord again, and then we're gonna go to the 6th chord. This is the last main chord in this key, and it's another minor interval. So I have the 11th fret of the A string and the 9th fret of the D string, right? So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 6. Okay, sounds kind of cool. Then we're going to add just a little minor pentatonic, just a little fun lick, right? Having fun. That's what's cool about that 6th spot in any key. That's where all the tasty minor pentatonic little licks kind of come in, right? So after we play that, one fret. After we play it in the right spot, we're going to hit maybe just some kind of like 11A, 9, 11, 12, 11G, and then bring us back, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 6. And then you can move this all over the place. One cool thing that you could start is maybe skipping around instead of doing them in order until you get to the last part. Maybe like 1, 4, 5, 4, 2, 1, 2, 4. Now it could be harder to do with a pick. Well, how I started this actually was finger style. I would go like, because then you're really only going to get the 2 strings that you're going for. One cool thing with using a pick is you kind of get better at muting the strings around it, and this is a great key for that. Because if you hit one of those open strings, you'll know right away. So it's a good way to kind of practice muting surrounding chords. I think it's just a really great way to kind of practice any kind of key. But it's an easy way to maybe kind of just get into it a little quicker instead of being like, all right, oh, in the key of B, the 1 chord, B major 7 to D minor 7. Which is great, but again, those chords can be a little more complex. It doesn't get easier than a 2-note chord just right there, right? And it always sounds good kind of adding that flair at the end as a finishing move. Again, start this anywhere, any key. It could even be a key that you're familiar with, like D major, right? Instead of going like D major, E minor, F sharp minor, G major, A major, B minor, C half diminished, D. We could use those same representatives of chords just by going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the one part about this Martin that I don't wish it had a cutaway, but again, that's why you want a cutaway on an acoustic guitar. But anyways, really easy to move and it's fun to play. Is there an easier way to play E minor 11th? It's used in the song Frozen Man by James Taylor. I've been playing guitar for many years and cannot stretch enough to play this chord. Help! E minor 11th. How do you play it? Hey Sean, request for a Condor Avenue lesson, please. I feel inspired. This is from Sam, who was watching the live feed, and I went live yesterday, I guess it was, and had a request to play one of my favorite Elliott Smith songs, Condor Avenue. It's a very difficult song to play, and one that I remembered I learned so much about just different finger positioning that it's like just in my brain forever. And it's like, it's funny doing it on the live stream. I was trying to listen to the lyrics and stuff, and I was like, man, how do I do this? So then I was like, I had a request to teach it, so I taught it on the Patreon, and I just did the whole lesson, and I uploaded it to the Patreon last night. So I'll link you to that if you're interested, because it is a tour de force in chords and strumming, and that's such a wild song to learn. So if you're feeling up to it, and then challenge yourself with that Patreon lesson. This dude is clearly out of video ideas. Oh, trust me. You'll know when I'm out of video ideas because it'll just get weirder and weirder. You know, speaking of, here's a question I actually have. Hopefully I won't get that many salty responses. I've been thinking about doing a second channel just for ukulele, okay? It's funny. It's like I used to make I don't want to say a bunch of, I have several ukulele videos out there. Some of them performed really well in the past, and people seem to like them. So I was like, okay, I'll do a uke video every now and then. But the YouTube algorithm has definitely changed. So they want to keep you specific doing what you do. So every time I post a uke video now, it really doesn't do very well because it's not shown to the guitar audience. And then the next guitar audience is not shown to the guitar audience. It's whatever. It's just YouTube stuff. So I was thinking about doing a second channel just on uke stuff. Let me know if that's something that I should even be considering, because I feel like it's a very accessible instrument to get people into guitar that maybe are struggling, and I feel like there actually is, now that I know how to actually play ukulele, I feel there's a lot of validity to the instrument that I kind of previously overlooked. So thinking about doing it, but if I did it, it would only be on like a second channel. So let me know if that's something that any of you would be interested, and if I just get like a few responses, I'll be like, all right, cool, I'll just put some uke songs up on a separate channel, and maybe link that in with the Patreon some way. But it's something I've been thinking about, so let me know if that's a good idea or a terrible idea. Hilarious. Thanks for ruining Christmas. So last year I ruined Christmas with my guy Ricardo here.
I did it.
In my most slept on video of the year, we made an Arnold Schwarzenegger impression instrument patch.
It was gut.
And we played Christmas music. And now I'm reconnecting with my guy. So why this guy is the man is he has a band composer YouTube channel where he actually composes and makes music all out of this. Yep. And we're gonna just do a really quick tour of that band composing life, and then you're gonna follow him because he's almost at 1,000 followers. So we're gonna make that happen right now. Let's do it. All right, so here we go. Get in and look at this man here, the composer himself. So you compose for like film and TV just right here. This is it.
Yep, I live in my car. That's right.
I love it. So you have this. It has like a solar power battery type deal.
Right here.
That you can always check there.
Solar.
Right.
We have about 12 hours left to run the entire studio.
Then you got the computer here.
Yes, we have an We have...
You're on Cubase.
I own Cubase. Got to turn the computer on if I want to.
Right on. Man, with the LEDs too. Living large, my guy. So yeah, definitely check out Ricardo's YouTube channel because you do some vlog stuff. You kind of go through just this, add some performances.
Thanks for having me, Sean.
Yeah, and ruining Christmas again this year. With two years in a row, we got it going.
See you out there. Have a good Christmas. Bye.
Hey Sean, great list. Any recommendations for lyrics and chords on the tablet or phone? How to have your own list of songs? Any apps or programs or you and your friends use? Thank you for the work you're doing for us. Much appreciated. Man, you don't want to see the note that I have. So I have so many. I just have a note that has the entire set list on the thing, just like an iPhone, just like gig list note. So basically here I can show you what it looks like. So yeah, basically it's the name of the song and then just like a couple chords to cheat it and like help me remember it. This is a terrible way to do it. If you guys have any ideas or suggestions, I haven't really used a real app. I do use Ultimate Guitar, and some of my friends use Ultimate Guitar just to kind of like pull up chords on a tablet. The nice thing about that is it has the auto scroll feature, so it can kind of go, scroll while you're playing. But if anybody has any different ideas that are maybe a little more professional than like my super weird note taking, it's so funny. Some of the notes on these too. It's like stuff that like I'll write down and I'll be like, oh, I remember that. Like there's not even like a structure to the way that I like write these down. I'll basically have like a chord progression like, oh, this is like G to D. Then a slash usually means it goes to a different part. Then it's C, D, G. Then another slash usually means it's like it's a bridge maybe, C minor, C, D. And it's like, I look at it, and then I just like, I swear, man, these gigs that I do, it's like, I'll look at it like, all right, I think I got it. And then I start playing, and it's like, here we go. Let's see what happens. The one thing I will say about doing it that way in a less prepared way, and again, it's like this. Don't flame me because like, oh, you're not prepared for these gigs. I take a ton of requests, so it's like these are just like a few of several hundred songs that I have a note on to try to like jog my own memory. What I've gotten really good at though is hiding mistakes in between chords and like being able to diagnose in a split second if it's the wrong one. So usually if I'm unsure of a chord, I'm usually 50-50 where it's just going just from knowing music theory and like knowing the structure of things. And then now it's to the point that in that split second when I usually choose wrong, I can switch to the right one and I don't think people notice, or maybe they're just being nice and they don't want to tell me. All right, for listening homework, I'm going to shout out once again my most listened to band of this last year, and that's Big Thief. Such an awesome, I listened to their album Masterpiece again, which is an actual masterpiece. It's pretty bold titling your album Masterpiece, but yeah, I mean, it's amazing. So check them out if you haven't already. Sign up for the Patreon, get yourself some Elixir strings, and if you have any questions or comments, hit me in the comment section. Instagram, Patreon, or the website. I'll talk to y'all soon. Thanks a lot.